The news, is it trustworthy? Growing up, I loved Walter Cronkite. As a kid, I looked forward to hearing him talk, and I looked forward to learning about what was going on. I was shocked to find out that many people didn't trust Walter. Really? It seems that there's always been some mistrust concerning the media, the news outlets. And that's not going to probably go away. And depending on which spectrum you're on, you're more likely to like and trust or dislike and not trust. So it seems to me that the news is more about politics. And more important to people is that the news they get supports their narrative. And that creates greater divides as well. So we're going to always have different of opinion concerning which news outlet we're going to take and believe. Now, I'm not going to tell you which one to believe. I'm just going to make some observations, and you'll probably figure out where I come from my point of view. But again, it'll probably upset some. But it's still that we have the opportunity to have freedom of speech, don't we? Maybe not. Let's take a look at this. I've used this blurred picture because it's colorful, but it also represents some of the news we see, I think. I'm not sure what I just seen, so I'm going to need to have it interpreted from, hopefully, a trustworthy spokesperson. And, we can say it's all kinds of things, but unless you actually take and slow the motion blur down and stop the blur and really look at it, you may never know what is that blur. Looks to me like it might be a train, but it just doesn't seem to be long enough. It could be a car going by or a truck going by, and that would be more like a truck, I would say. That would fit maybe the size and the fact that it's on a road, it looks like, instead of a railroad track. See, again, I don't fully know, but I can make maybe an assumption based on the snapshot. And when I look at some of the things that I've seen on the news over the years, I realize that things are taken snapshots and then interpreted based on the snapshots and presented as the facts, as the truth. Now, I've said it several times, and it upsets people when I talk about it, but the Rodney King incident, where we see the police tasing him and then these officers getting around him and hitting him with the PR-24, the nightsticks. But that just made all of us upset. And like I said, I was doing security courses at the time, and I was training on the PR-24, and that was not an appropriate use of the PR-24. So I was very angry with it. And of course, it ends up going to court, and when the jury gets to see the full picture, they exonerate the police, which the news and others really upset a bunch of folks, and they protested, and they went out and they started looting and burning, and even Rodney King just came out and said, "Can't we all get along?" But he did get millions of dollars in a settlement. However, when you go back and watch the starting of what happened, this is a police chase well in the 100 mph. It comes to a stop, and he gets out of his vehicle, and he's aggressive, and they hit him with the tasers. He goes down, he bounces right back up, and they hit him with tasers, and he keeps doing that. Now, that's an indication that he's probably on some kind of drug, and when that happens, police officers are being injured and killed. So the next thing they went to was using the PR-24, and they finally were able to subdue him. I might have, and it makes my wife upset, my daughter upset when I say, if I was one of the police, I might have shot him just to stop his aggressive behavior. But that's not politically correct. I get that. But in context, if we get to see the whole picture, then we go, well, there's a reason for them to behave that way. Another clip that I seen years later was a police officer taking the suspect who's handcuffed and slamming his head onto the police car. I definitely wanted that cop to lose his badge and face charges. Until I watched the whole thing, is that while he's cuffing the person hits him in the groin, and he reacts and smacks him down. Tell you what, I definitely would have probably done the same and maybe not been as restrained. I doubt any person who would be hit like that would want to respond without, well, anyways, the reactionary of pain makes it, but that's the only part of the picture that we get to see. So I really think that for the most part, the news is more opinion based, and it's really not news. It seems to me that we twist the truth, and when we twist the truth, well, that's a dangerous thing, because once we blur the lines of reality and truth and we try to manipulate people, that's not a free press. That's a manipulative propaganda machine. It's not representing facts and truth and the whole truth, but it's slanting and twisting to manipulate the emotions of people. And we see that all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and come into here, and I'm going to offer my opinion, okay? Since everybody else gets to do theirs, I'm going to do mine today. I'm going to make some observations. I'm probably not going to be politically correct. I'm definitely not going to endear myself, I'm sure, to some people. But the observation is this. Now we see peaceful protesters. Okay. We're redefining what is constitutional rights and what's peaceful. There's no doubt that the Constitution says that people have the right to assembly peacefully and address the government for their grievances. So I'm all for peaceful protests, even if I don't agree with the message or the agenda. I believe that's people's constitutional rights. However, they're taking this beyond what I would call peaceful. But let's say, okay, they are peaceful like the news, the mayors and the governors of some places are saying that they're peaceful. I would like our police officers to learn how to be peaceful in their policing. Now listen, you can now use bricks and throw them at people because that's peaceful policing. You can throw frozen water bottles at them because that's peaceful. You can put lasers in their eyes because that's peaceful. You can take skateboards and smack them and kick them because that's peaceful. You can shoot them with pellet guns because that's peaceful. You can throw fire at them because that's peaceful, right? Well, according to the news, according to mayors and governors, that's peaceful. And therefore, I would say that the police needs to learn the new rules for being peaceful and go forward with the same peaceful tactics as the peaceful protesters are going about. That's fair, right? Oh, wow. You know, this is amazing. We have constitutional rights to blind somebody. We have constitutional rights to threaten people's lives. We have constitutional rights to use violence on others. Really? No, I'm sorry. And now I'm really going to tick everybody off. If you're driving the car for a group that goes in and robs the bank and they shoot and kill somebody, you're going to be held accountable as an accomplice. Now, if I'm the governor or the mayor who is driving this force and allowing these crimes to happen, am I not an accomplice? When are we going to enforce the oath of office in this country? Especially on protecting the Constitution. Many congressmen and senators, governors, and mayors, because they take that oath to uphold the Constitution and the laws of the government as well as their state. When you're in violation of upholding those things, you are to be removed. In fact, the military has an obligation to come in and deal with all enemies, foreign and domestic, who are enemies of the Constitution. Nobody wants to go there, but okay. We do have the right to challenge our government, but we don't have a right to challenge our Constitution. If you're an American, you live by the constitutional rights, then you have to live by the constitutional requirements, or it just isn't going to work. So I look at this and I say, who's guilty here? Who should go to jail and be held civilly and criminally responsible for the mayhem and the murders of innocent people? Oh, that's right. That's just peaceful murder. Peaceful murder. Okay. See, this is insanity. And to have news outlets twist it, I tell you, it's a shame. These are gutless, false prophets. That's the best thing. They're serving the beast of insanity and evil. And they are propagating fake news. And many people are stirred emotionally by their lies that they present. You tell a grieving parent that their child died as the result of peaceful protest. I might just punch you in the face and say that's peaceful. Nope, you need to pick up a brick and throw it at them, because that's peaceful. According to the news and according to mayors and governors, we have changed what is constitutional and what is peaceful. And once you do that, you create a society that cannot be trusted either. Because after all, nothing is trustworthy at some point. Hey, that's my opinion, like it or not. I just think that we need to get back to loving God and loving our neighbors as we'd like to be loved. We need to forgive one another our faults and our transgressions. Should I hold a man or a woman accountable for their grandfather killing somebody else? How about this? How many people of color have killed people of color? Should their children then and their grandchildren have to pay for their crimes later on? That's the standard that we want to live by, it seems like. But will it be enforced equally across the board? Depends who's in power, right? Well, we'll see whether the insanity prevails or sane, reasonable human beings prevail. Please pray that we all will come to a standard that is fair for everyone in order to live together in peace and harmony.